assign a great class.
Now, did you watch all the games from last year too? Have you broken down that film and looked at that film to see kind of what you're working with?
Broken it down, no. I will not break it down, but watched it just to get a feel for some of the guys. Got to be very careful. I really do not want to have a prejudged, for any of these players. I just want to make my own judgment from the time this staff arrived on the defensive side of the ball, and we're going to start fresh. And that's what I told the group. We walked in here. It's a blank canvas. We're going to start fresh. I think they feel good about that. I think they're very encouraged. One of the first things that struck me, when I got here and got a chance to be around the defensive players, and we met right in this very room right here, was, I noticed some heads down. I noticed some guys that were a little beat down, and to no fault of any of you in this room, but I'm sure, when they do not perform, is up to standards that they set around here, so I'm sure they heard about that quite a bit, about not living up to the expectations and not statistically having a great year defensively. So I noticed a group that was a little bit beat down, and the first thing I told them was, hey, there's no more of that. There's no more putting your head down. We're gonna be very confident, and they don't have anything to be ashamed of. They had a great win. Send Coach Bowden and Coach Mickey Andrews out with a great win, as they should have. And the defense came up with some great stops in that game. And so I think that I wanted to use that game to kind of roll into this new start. Even though we're talking about starting fresh, I just wanted them to understand that they are, they had the ability, and we had to get the confidence back and get their heads up and get ready to roll. And I think the group is excited about that. I think they're ready. I think that's one thing that I've noticed right away. They're very eager right now, eager to learn, and that's what you have to have. They have to, it's going to be a lot of teaching. We have a lot of work to do, but I think if they're, look at it with an open mind, willing to work, then we could do some great things here real quick.
Coach Derek Wright from Palm Beach Post. How much does that parallel your experience when you walked into Arizona for the first time? And did that experience in Arizona trying to build that program back up, build that defense back up, help you come in and do the same thing fresh start out here?
Yeah, I think it definitely did. I think I noticed that right away. But I think the difference is that I do firmly believe that there's some talent here to get us started and get us off on the right foot. We just, again, that's where it comes down to knowledge and learning and adjusting to a new system, and committed to putting in the time and energy and effort to learn this system. But I think it was similar in certain ways as far as the attitude and being beat down a little bit, and need to get the confidence level up. But you can't fake your way around these things. You can't just go out there and talk about it and rah and all that. I mean, there has to be a complete understanding of a system and all the things we just talked about, just being dedicated to learn it.
Coach Wardell@Washington.com. With a new strength coach coming in, what do you want the defense to look like physically?
Well, I do think we need to be, bigger in certain areas. Obviously, there's good size and speed on this team, and on this defense. But I want to be bigger in certain spots. Obviously, again, as a whole, we want to be a big group that can run. Big and fast is the key.
When you're building a defense from the ground up, what are some of the most important things early on in that process to get a jump start?
Well, I think just the first thing is in going back to your question, with coming into this situation is making sure they can handle everything we're going to feed them. Because, I'm very big in, with talking with Coach Fisher, coming into this situation. I'm not a defensive coordinator that wants to do a whole bunch of things to try to be very flashy and trick people. I believe, you have to have a sound structure to start with and be very, very sound and precise from our core defense, and then build it out. Of course, there's always games that are played every game, but as a defense, you better be very, very sound, and you better be, technique sound, and have a great understanding of your core defense. So, I think, that's the tricky part with this first year. What can they handle? What can we go out and execute properly? And that starts with this spring. We're pounding out all these details right now as to what we're going to feed the players and win. And, you know, we waited a little while because of the recruiting, because of how busy we were with recruiting and all those things, and getting time with a new defensive staff to put it all together. You know, as far as getting in here and meeting and installing that to the players, we've got to be very careful. We've got to make sure all of our coaches are on the same page, make sure exactly what we want to do first, and because the first thing we're going to teach them is the core of our defense that will never change. You know, there's obviously a lot of tweaks and a lot of different, you know, things you can do, but the core has to be with you forever. And, you know, so that's what we're going to do. We want to make sure they understand the core defense and then all the wrinkles off of it.
Coach, one of your first road game here as DC is going to be going up against your brother. You guys had any discussions about that yet?
Yeah, I called him and told him I got the job, and you know, so he was very excited for me. You know, we talked about it a bit and hung up, and you know, 10 seconds later the phone rang, and he got back on the phone with me and started busting my chops about it already. You know, said, hey, by the way, yeah, I won't say the rest because it looks different in print as it does in you know. But no, I think you know, Bob, you know, as you know, is a very traditional school with a lot of tradition, a lot like Florida State, and I think that's what he's most excited for me, that he knows the opportunity that's here. And you know, Bob coaching in Florida for a while, he knows the caliber of athlete that's in South Florida, and, you know, excuse me, in all of Florida, and in the South in general.
Is the transition, do you have to be delicate in some ways in the sense that Coach Andrews is kind of a legend and not saying, hey, we're going to do everything completely different, but then, you know.
I think, first off, you're right, and that very, you know, first time I spoke here, I tried to relay that message that it is an honor for me to replace Coach Andrews, and it's very big shoes to fill. You know, I think, you know, he's a legend certainly in my eyes and in most people's eyes that know college football. And, you know, I think what's, you know, important that we always embrace the tradition, you know, that's in this room, that's in, you know, that played at Florida State. And we will always embrace the tradition and the past players and past coaches. And, you know, I think if you know anything about myself and my family, that's something that's, you know, my father was a high school coach and we were brought up the right way, and certainly want to do things right. As far as the X and O's part and all that, I think, you know, everybody understands that you're going to do what you believe in and what you know, and build it from there. So yes and no to that question. Yes, it's tricky, and you know, it's very humbling to have to replace Coach Andrews.
Have you had any former players reach out to you guys yet as the new staff?
Some, just the guys that, you know, certain guys that have been by in Tallahassee and coming by the office, and Coach Andrews has been by a few times, so it's been good to sit down and visit with him and just have him around, and that's something that I hope he's around a lot, and you know, I love just visiting with him and talking about things and having him around our players, so I hope he stops by and is a presence around here.
How much does that mean to you for him to do that, to come and kind of embrace the new staff and talk to you and sit down?
I think it means a great deal to myself, and you know, I'm sure to all of us defense coaches for sure, and